I was really excited about this game based on the information that we previously have gotten. For those people not aware of it, this is a game being developed by ex-developers from CD Projekt Red that left the company after CD Projekt Red issue and all of this whole situation with Cyberpunk 2077. Now they're building their own game under the wing of Bandai Namco, and throughout the gameplay you will notice and that you will see that yes, it naturally looks very much like The Witcher 3, because there's DNA of The Witcher 3 in this game, and you will see lots of that in there. The game's director has said several times that he's proud that people see The Witcher 3 DNA in this game, and that this basically looks like The Witcher 3 on a vampire setting. Now throughout this video you will see me trying to be the devil's advocate, because we have good news and bad news about this game, thanks to the gameplay that we have recently been shown. And we're going to start this discussion with one of the most controversial things about this game, which is the time mechanic and time managing in this game, and how is it going to work. Now, I'd like to reminisce a little bit more about the games that actually had this mechanics implemented that are worthwhile mentioning. I'll have a couple of examples, and then we can talk about Blood of the Dawnwalker, Majora's Mask. It is also strange to think that such an old game, in my opinion, no one has managed to, when it comes to time managing as a mechanic on a video game, to do it that well. It's also strange that while I was writing and thinking about this video, I realized upon research that we're going to be discussing later on that the game's actually referenced by the developer in an interview that then again we will check on in a little while. It really goes to say about how much of a mastermind Eiji Numa and Yoshiaki Koizumi, which to my knowledge he is the one that did the most on the 3-day cycle on Majora's Mask. So to keep things simple, I like to be in Majora's Mask's sections where there's keys to doors that you can restart at any given point and keep those keys. Before reaching any dungeon, you have to do exploration. While doing so, time sending. You have 3-day cycle to complete the exploration and find the dungeon. If you run out of time, you can use the Song of Time to reset back to the basic 1 day. However, you get to keep the keys you obtained throughout your exploration. So, if you had, let's say, 4 doors that you needed to open, now you have the remaining keys that you found, and you can immediately skip to the next position or portion where you can find the next dungeon. So if you already opened 2 doors, that means that you already have 2 doors left for exploration because you already have those keys available to you. Now in temples and dungeons, that's where things get trickier. If you run out of time while doing a dungeon and you have to restart the day, the whole dungeon restarts. Now, one of the main aspects that I've seen people criticize and complain about the most about Majora's Mask as a new player is how obnoxious the puzzles are. But there is a very good reason to that. They're just there to stall you. You spend a whole bunch of time trying to figure them out, because if you have to restart the temple and come back, you have to use the knowledge of the place to solve them. And if you already know how to solve a temple in Majora's Mask, you will notice that they're very short. They're really short, and their actual mechanic of it all is just trying to stall you so that you run out of time and you feel that sense of urgency that much more. That sense of urgency is always there, even if you know that you are the master of time, that you can restart the time and manage it. It's still one of the things that I love the most about this game, because I think that no one has managed to implement a time cycle so well, or a time mechanic so well in a video game all of these years later, dude. Another couple of examples that come to mind is Lightning, Final Fantasy Lightning Returns. However, the time system in that's a little bit more native. There's not that much of a mechanic, because at the end of the day you start the game with a certain specific amount of time. As you complete story quests, you can extend that time, and it's basically how much time do you have to finish the game, but you cannot tamper that much with the mechanics of it. If you run out of time before you can actually finish the game, you just start a new game plus with all of your gear, and you have to go through every single thing again, which a lot of people might hate me, but I think that's just lame and lazy, a lazy version of what Majora's Mask already did so many years ago. There's also games like Shadow of War, where time passing by alters the status of the world, and things and orcs and just basically everything around you evolves and they level up, and things die and you lose commanders or you gain commanders and things like that. So yeah. Now that being said, how is time going to work in the Blood of the Dawnwalker? And essentially, time is going to be a currency. Which is weird to say because I was thinking that when I was watching the gameplay video, and that is also something that it was mentioned in the interview. But here they give us a little bit more of an insight behind their thinking on why to make this thing a currency instead of making it like the aforementioned Majora's Mask. Perhaps the most important thing to know is that there is no real-time ticking clock in the Blood of the Dawnwalker. The minutes do not start counting down from the moment you start a new game. This is not Majora's Mask or Outer Wilds. We were thinking that if time would flow naturally, it might be quite unpleasant. The playstyle would change so on the go, from human to vampire and back to human constantly without your input, so that's where the time as a resource idea came in. It's best to think of time in the Blood of the Dawnwalker as a currency rather than a stopwatch. A bar, split into 8 sections and displayed in the upper right of the screen, represents your daily allowance of that currency. Performing significant actions marked with an hourglass icon such as completing objectives or engaging in certain conversations will spend a section of the bar. Similar to Deathloop, then simply exploring or completing lower level tasks will not progress time. Theoretically, you could stay in the noon period of the 7th day for dozens of in-game hours provided you don't do anything marked with that hourglass symbol, and that is the problem. This is just a straight out lie. There could be 2 possibilities in here. 1, this isn't a straight out lie, or 2, things change during the development up until the showcase of the gameplay here that you are seeing right now. Because this, for example, that I'm showing you right now, this is just a fast travel point. It's a minor activity, so that what they were saying is that so long as you're not doing the main quest, you're not doing the main things, you shouldn't be worrying about exploring because your time as a currency is not going to be spent. However, this just being a mangy fast travel point, it costs time for you to interact with it. There's also the exploration sections that are not tied to the main quest, that are not side quests at all, that are not really anything whatsoever, and that you are required to do them because they give you skill points for you to be able to increase your magical abilities, to change your build and your playstyle. And what do you know? Completing these things that are minor activities, yes, they cost time too. So that is not true. Everything costs time in here. Whether they cost less or more, that is a matter for another discussion, but they cost time, and you are limited on your resource because time is your most valuable resource in this game. Not only that, but also purchasing skills, increasing your skills, yes, that is going to cost time as well. So something as basic as increasing your character into your skill, that costs time as well. And so there's people that enjoy this and there's people that don't. I, for once, am not sure how to feel about this because this is at the end of the day an open world, and I don't like to feel pressured. I don't like to feel that every single thing that I do in this world, it has a cost, and that the only thing that I wouldn't spend my time is just walking around doing basically nothing. I don't play games to do nothing. I play games to do something, and in this game it's going to cost me my resource, and I'm going to be time limited in here. Now, I did say that I was going to be the devil's advocate in this video, in these specific sections, and I'm thinking that at the end of the day, this is a narrative-driven game, and this is a game that comes from the masters of narrative when it comes to gaming, being what they worked on in the past is The Witcher 3, and I do have to say that this could, for example, provide replayability value. I do have to tell you that I played and replayed through The Witcher 3 countless times. I've done many things because there's many things that are going to alter the world. They said that those things are going to be present in here, and you don't have idea of how the sheer full amount of content and things that would change on the base storyline and the NPCs and how the world would react to you on The Witcher 3 based on the decisions that you made. But for you to see those decisions, you would have to start a new playthrough. What if now we had a different game that you can just immediately start the game, go to the final boss, do some things that you want to see how they change, and complete the game, rinse and repeat, and see the different pages that this game has to offer to you. That's just a thought, and I think that it's a good one to some extent. But that also leaves us to time being used as a resource to use skills. And this also ties to that fact that I've already mentioned, that yes, you can start the game and go directly into the final boss and beat him and then do different things. This means the skills being cost to you means probably that there's going to be a build variety here as well. There's 3 archetypes in here. There's vampire powers, which is going to be basically you using your supernatural abilities. There's swordsmanship, and then there's also the usage of dark arts that are going to allow you to use and cast magic. You're probably, if you're going to be limited on that time management that you want to use, then you're probably not going to be able to max out everything. But also, at the same time, if that is going to cost me time and I'm going to be limited on the amount of resources that I'm going to be able to spend on my build, I want to see significant changes, because what I've seen so far right now is just magic skills that do less damage than basic attacks that you can see in here, and that if they're going to cost me time and resource, they better be very, very different than a basic regular attack that now it seems to me, at the very least, and what I'm seeing, more interesting than a basic regular attack. So yeah, there's that as well. Now let's talk about the performance of the game, because this is a real Engine 5 game. While I was watching the stream, it was very blurry, and I wasn't really impressed about what I was seeing. Maybe the things on YouTube like compress the video in a weird manner. This one that I'm showing you on my video, it's 1440p, so it should be a little bit more crispier than what we saw on that stream. However, I've already seen some people puzzled about this, because this is a real Engine 5 game that to some extent doesn't look like a Unreal Engine 5 game. The main aspects of Unreal 5 engine games is that the usage of lumen allow them to produce a little bit more of a subtle lighting that would look better, that diffuses the illumination that much more to make it look more natural, more subtle, more vibrant, more mysterious, and huge structures that make you feel tiny in these beautiful worlds. I myself sometimes would be able to compromise the performance if the image quality that I'm having in front of me is really good. Now, what I do have to say is that to me, at the very least, the basic bare bones of everything that we're seeing right now, I'm not seeing that illumination, and especially at night it looks very dull and bland, and I'm not seeing that usage of lumen. I'm not seeing that much detail factor that it's going to cost me a whole bunch of performance with something that really doesn't compensate that bad performance on what you're looking at, the image and picture that you have in front of you. It's a real bad thing to have it. Being the devil's advocate as well, I'm guessing that that's just something that we were not able to see on this gameplay footage, because I am seeing the illumination different times of day. Like, for example, in this story trailer, you will see that this picture does seem to have that dramatic, more mysterious usage of lumen with that softer lightning and illumination that unfortunately I'm not seeing at night, and I'm probably going to be spending a whole bunch of time, and we're probably all going to be spending a whole bunch of time on the night time, and we want to compensate that performance hit that we're going to be taking in here, because these are the system requirements that this game is going to have, and oh boy, this is just not looking good. Let's remember that this is an Unreal Engine 5 game, and it's also an open world Unreal 5 engine game. We have seen linear games struggle with Unreal Engine 5, like Metal Gear Solid Delta. There are linear games. This is an open world, and I had so many issues with Code Vein as an open world. And just to make a quick comparison with the recommended settings, it requires for you to have native 1080p at 60 frames per second. It requires for you to have an RTX 5060. In comparison to that, I'd say that it's a common consensus that the equivalent, it's not that they're using this card, but in consoles, the basic next or new actual generation of consoles, they're using something that is similar or akin to an RTX 3060. That's 2 generations below what the recommended systems are required for you to have native 1080p, not even 1440p, just native 1080p. So that remains to see how blurry is this going to look on consoles. I'd say that this is a game that you shouldn't pre-order and that you should wait until you see the performance on how is it going to perform on those scenarios. While I do have seen that on the Xbox official webpage on the game where you can pre-order the game, it does say that it is going to be running at 60 frames per second. But how much image quality are you going to compromise to that? Because for you to run at native 1080p, then again it requires an RTX 5060. And that is power that the base consoles right now do not have. It is also mentioned right in here on those small letters that all of these settings or presets that you're seeing right in here are native resolutions, and that they're not using like the upscalers that are going to be available. There's no usage of frame generation, that it is going to be available. But those are things like the only cards that have that. It's the Series 40, RTX 40, and the equivalent for AMD moving forward. But this makes me believe that for the consoles to be able to sustain 60 frames per second are going to need to upscale to 1080p, not run at native 1080p. And then finally, just after all of this amount of information that it is not very promising that I have for you, the price point on this game. I've always said that I'm behind these companies, these small developing teams that are providing us AAA quality video games thanks to the usage of Unreal Engine 5. We have Claw Obscure Expedition 33 right there, that it looks much better than many AAA titles that you have out there, that it was built by 50 people and that's it. And this is kind of like a similar scenario, but if I'm not mistaken, Clair Obscur, when it launched, it was a $40 title. This is going to cost on every major platform $70. Yep, $70. This is one of those titles. With the Eclipse Edition, which is going to be $80. So yeah. Then again, trying to be the devil's advocate right in here, I don't think that this is up to the decision of Rebel Wolves. This is up to Bandai Namco. At the end of the day, they are the ones that are publishing the game. And Bandai Namco is very well known for being more than anything a price and profit looking company. How they manage the prices and their microtransactions on their games, their DLCs and mobile games and what have you, they have a very, very bad reputation of being greedy. So this is probably on Bandai Namco's side. However, you do need to have all of the previous things that I mentioned to you with the price point here, which I don't think that this should be a $70 title myself. Anyways, if you like the content, I can super appreciate it. And also, you there, you gorgeous and beautiful person. You're indeed a gorgeous and beautiful person. Subscribe to the channel. You're in Discord. Have a beautiful day. Bye.